Welcome to Your Story Matters. My name is Linda Olson. I'm the founder of Wealth Through Stories and Your Story Matters Masterclass. Today's expert, Day Israel Green, is a sought-after professional speaker, teacher, and coach with the John Maxwell team. For the past 20 years, Israel has held a variety of leadership positions in organizations ranging from startups to Fortune 500 companies. He is currently authoring a book titled Forgotten Sons, 40 Steps to Success, which chronicles his life story of being abandoned at birth, the journey of self-discovery, and offers real-world advice for young men and women on managing their path to success. Israel is passionate about inspiring others to recognize and reach their full potential through intentional living and leadership. Welcome, Israel, to Your Story Matters.
Thank you so much for having me, Linda. I'm excited to be here with you.
Oh, you're very welcome. We're excited to have you. So I know that anyone who has become a sought-after speaker has walked a significant journey. Tell us a little bit about your story.
Yeah, sure. I would love to. So I got involved in the John Maxwell team about 3 years ago, and I just kind of stumbled up on him and the vision that he had for his organization fell in line with the vision that I wanted for my life. And it wasn't fully recognized, and it still isn't yet. I'm still discovering and on the journey. But it was about living this intentional lifestyle and about being able to share your story with others without shame, without fear, without regret of doing so. So I got certified through his program, was able to start teaching his content. I'm not sure if you're familiar with him or not, but his content, okay, his content is phenomenal, and it's more than just motivating. It's inspiring, and there's a distinct difference in that, because with motivation, it's temporary and it's external, and it's great to get you started. But the beauty of this is that this is within you, and it's that thing that keeps you moving. So it doesn't just get you started. It's not external, it's internal, and it keeps you going for the long haul. So it gave me that energy boost right at that right time. And it was so important for me living an intentional lifestyle, because for years I missed that piece of things. I was ashamed of my story, and I thought it was something to be ashamed of. I thought I was something to be ashamed of. And it was through, as you mentioned, my book, Forgotten Sons, that I decided to share this with others and hopefully provide some key strategies and tips and things that I've learned along the way of banging my head up against the wall is what I call it, and discovering, hey, you know what, this hurts. But there was an incident at birth that took place, and I was abandoned at birth and bounced around from foster home to foster home for about 3.5 years before I was adopted. And then this was a big secret that the family had planned to keep. And I discovered while my mother, my adoptive mother, was on her deathbed with cancer at 9 years old, that I was adopted. And I discovered this through me and my brother. We were fighting, and he yells out, "That's why you were adopted." And of course, kids say this to each other all the time. Brothers or sisters are just mean to each other. And lo and behold, this happened to be true. So unfortunately, she took a lot of the questions to the grave with her. And I didn't have an opportunity to ask those questions. But the fact of keeping it a secret really did a toll on me, because at that point, a secret like that, I felt like there was something that was to be ashamed of. And I would hide it. I would never tell anyone. I went through some other things within my childhood, from from my family, and not to get too deep into it, but I gave a woman who gave me up for adoption this power, and it was a power to make me feel a certain way, and was a woman that I had never met, I had never knew, never talked to. And through this story, through that process, I lost a lot of years of feeling inadequate, feeling less than. And, I struggled in school. I graduated third from the bottom of my class in high school. I was signing my own report cards from sixth grade on up. And finally, I ended up going to college, and leaving college, getting kicked out, getting arrested. So there's this whole journey of discovery, and then finally graduating, and recently was accepted to Notre Dame's executive MBA program. Um, so to go from that to where I am today has been quite the discovery, and the beauty of all of this, and what allowed me to get closer to that destination, is that I was able to discover my birth family finally, and able to meet them. And that journey was a 20-year journey, and I discovered that I had a brother and a sister, and it was one of the most emotional things. um, it was one of the emotional experiences that I've ever been through. Right up in there with my mother passing away and my dad passing away. So that process of discovering them, when they didn't know anything about me. um, the birth mother was passed away already, a couple of years before I found them, and she hid her pregnancy with me. So I was able to find a brother and sister that I never had, and the beauty of it is that they welcome me with open arms. So it's there's a happy ending at the end of it.
Wow, Israel, what a powerful story. Thank you,
Thank you.
for the courage to share it with us, because I know that journey is a very difficult journey. I'm reminded of a quote, one of my favorite quotes by Brene Brown. She says, "Loving ourselves and owning our story is the most courageous thing we will ever do." I know it
Yes,
was for me, and it sounds like it certainly is for you as well. And it's
absolutely.
huge. But there's something very empowering when we can come to that place to actually fully own that story. I'll tell you, for me, that was a 45-year journey. It was no easy thing. So I believe, just a taste at least of what you're going through. And I thank you for being willing to embrace this journey, having the courage to step up, to write about it, to tell about it. And you know what? Uh, Never hide from those tears, because they can be sometimes the most significant thing that connects us to our audience. So thank you again for sharing that.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And
You're
it's funny because I received a book from John Maxwell, and it's titled "The Greatest Story Ever Told,"
welcome.
and it's signed by him. And in this book, it's a black book, and you open it up, and it's blank pages. And the beauty of it is that you have this opportunity to write and share your own story. And I'm a firm believer that we are, and I write about this in Forgotten Sons, but we are our brother's keeper. And part of that is to help and share our stories so that they can learn from them, and to give them courage and encouragement along the way to help them grow as well. But each one of us definitely has a story. So I love this program that you're doing, and this summit that you're putting together, because all of a sudden it takes one catalyst for change, and the next thing you know, you have a movement. So this is a very powerful thing.
Oh, thank you so much. One of the things that you shared as you were sharing your journey, you said how you realized that you had given the power to someone else to really let you know who you are. Will you speak about that a little bit?
You broke up on me a little bit. What was the last
Okay.
part?
Okay, let me say this again. Unfortunately, we're having some internet problems, so I'm hoping this will come through. Let me say this again. At one point in your story, you talked about realizing that you had given somebody else the power to say who you are. Can you
Yes.
talk about that a little bit?
So I harbored for years these feelings of I'm not good enough. I'm not worth it. Something's wrong. Something's wrong with me. I am wrong. And growing up with that feeling, and still, some of these thoughts will still try to creep up. But these were all based off of an experience that I had absolutely no control over, from a woman that I had never met, that I had never talked to. But going through that process, it made me think, what was so horrible and what was so bad about me, and that I still must be bad. Something, why? So, not having the answer to that why, and then thinking those thoughts throughout life, I was still giving this person this power. And when she had me and she gave me up, that gave up that right to have that influence over me. So that's what I mean by that piece. So there's situations in our lives, and we are the average of the 5 people that we surround ourselves with. The 5 people. So if you take a look at your circle, and you got to ask yourself, am I bringing them up? Or are they bringing me down? Or are they bringing me up? And if they're bringing you down, you need to find another circle to get into. Um, because that's a very influential thing there. So my circle was in my mind, and it was like, okay, you know what? These self-limiting beliefs are are doing more devastation upon you. And it wasn't until I made that discovery and I accepted to not let that happen that I started making some great strides and gains. And one of the catalysts was I read a book, and it's by Joseph McClendon and Anthony Robbins, and it's Unlimited Power, a Black Choice, and they combined audiences for the Black audience, and it was such a powerful book, and that's really what started everything for me. It was like reading them was like, okay, wow, this is really eye opening. There's some truth to this, but part of it is being able to say, you know what, I know that I've got this limiting belief, and I'm willing to do something about it. So let me take that power back, because now this is in my control. It's in my destiny.
Wow, very good. And you know what? It seems like throughout life, it is so easy to get caught up in that trap, to give somebody else the power to say who we are.
Absolutely.
I certainly have been there many times, but it's only when we stop and get a hold of and say, wait a minute, that's not who I am. In that process, so often we forget who we are. And we are somebody who has a lot of strengths, but in our vulnerable and often weak moments, when we focus from that place of insecurity, it's then, or maybe out of that place of feeling like a victim, it's then that we give that power to someone else. So
Yeah.
I'm so glad you talked about that. Very, very important. So
And
as
the
you
sad part
have
is,
walked a very significant journey, are still on it, as we all are. It's
yes,
all part of our life, and that story, our story, unfolds on a daily basis. But the more we can address our present story, it will truly empower our future story. So thank you
yeah.
for that. So tell us, with this journey that you're on and new doors opening up and exciting doors and the coaching, the speaking, many things you are doing, where do you kind of see all of this going? What would you like to accomplish?
Wow, great question. And you see me light up about this because I've got I do have some big plans, and I'm so excited about them. But my goal is to bring influence to as many people as possible. Like you said, through my story of doing that, both young men and young women. But ultimately, this book will be released in July, the Forgotten Sons book. After that, I've got a series that I've started planning already. And I don't want to give out the name for them just yet, but I've got a series of leadership books that I am starting to put together based on experiences and conversations over the years that I've had that I'm able to pull from. But ultimately, I want to build the Israel Green brand, and be able to add influence to people all around the world. And more importantly, especially to young minority men growing up in environments like Chicago, which is where I currently reside, that may not have that father figure or that figure at home or that person that they can look up to, and just enable them to be who they are destined to be.
Wow, I love it. I love it. You know what? It's always, we walk through a journey. And then it's amazing. Through our deepest pain, we so often find our true purpose.
Yes.
And for what you have been through, what you are going through, you have so much to offer these young men and women. And like you know, if you can capture them at an earlier age, um, that's when things can turn around and they too can become really influential. So all the best to you
Absolutely.
in that. I love it. I appreciate so much your openness and willingness to go that journey, because you can't go that journey without walking through your own pain. And so thank you again
Yes.
for doing that. So
Thank you.
obviously you're using your story in speaking, and I'm so excited to hear your big goals and dreams with the writing that you're doing. Any other way do you use your story in business?
Yeah, so I do keynote speeches as well for different organizations and conferences, and also conduct like mastermind groups. So the mastermind groups is a group of like-minded individuals, and like I mentioned before, where you're the average of the 5 people that you surround yourself with. So to be able to be around a group of people that are trying to grow themselves. So I've got a program with that. I'm also writing some of my own content as well for some training, both online and in person for different organizations through leadership as well.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
So you've left, really given our speakers many golden nuggets. Is there one particular gold nugget that you would like to leave with our audience today?
Wow. I would say the biggest thing is be committed to yourself and know that you're worthy, and understand that as you go through things, stretch yourself beyond limits that you didn't even think you'd be able to achieve, because it's in those moments of uncomfort that the greatest growth happens. And that's the beauty of life. So stretch yourself, know yourself, and get out of the microwave thinking, is what I call it, and know that there's a law of process that is associated with success. So my journey of finding my birth family, that wasn't an overnight process. That was a very, very long journey, and it's still going. I just found out that this 2 Fridays ago that another sister that was given up, she found us just this past weekend.
Wow.
So, so it keeps going, but know yourself, stretch yourself, and be uncomfortable. Be uncomfortable for a little while, and know that you're going to fail, but just fail quickly and fail forward.
I love it. Being willing to be comfortable with the uncomfortable. Not an easy
Yes,
place to be, but a good place. It's a healthy place because it's a growing place.
absolutely.
So very good. I know that you have a very special offer for our listeners today. Tell us about that.
Absolutely. So I am all about, I'm a growth junkie. As you know, you and I have chatted a couple of times and you probably discovered. So I'm all about growth. And I have an offer for the listeners that it is a mastermind class. It's a 4-week mastermind, and it's based on John Maxwell content, the 15 invaluable laws of growth. And Linda, when I tell you there are some golden nuggets in this, you mentioned golden nuggets. There is just some beauty in this program. So this is normally a $199 program, and we're going to offer it to the listeners for $49.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, and it is
That's
virtual. So regardless of where they are, they can jump on, and it's an opportunity to be able to hear stories, get tips, get strategies that will help them move forward and overcome obstacles and barriers in their lives.
Oh, I love it. I hope that many of our listeners will um, take advantage of this very special offer. So, how can they get a hold of that if they're interested in that? What's the best way?
The best way is to email me directly, and they can do
Okay.
so at Israel, which is ISRAEL, at Israel Green, GREENE.com.
Okay, very good. And we will have that on the site as well. If anybody didn't catch it right now, Israel, thank you for
Thank
taking the
you.
time out of your busy schedule. I know that you have just flown across the country to another conference, and
Yes.
have found time to squeeze this in for us. And so we just thank you. Thank you for sharing your journey, for your willingness and vulnerability in doing that. I just can't thank you enough for that.
Thank you for allowing me a platform to be able to do so. And I love, once again, what you're doing and just allowing people to be able to share their purpose and their story and their passion. And I will leave with this saying, when you find your why, you'll find your way. And for
I love
anyone that's searching for their way and they feel lost, this program that I'm offering will help with that. But when you find your why, you'll find your way. That just leave them with that thought.
I love it. That's the gold nugget I'm going to take home with me.
Wonderful.
I love it. And I want to thank our listeners for joining us today. I know that this has been a valuable time. I hope you walk away with several gold nuggets as well from today's interview. Thank you for taking the time out, and we will see you real soon. Have a wonderful day.